Okay, so that is why what you're touching on is why we wanted to speak with you prior to the reunion. Is so important for us to document our family memories. You know, those stories, you know, if you didn't pay attention when you were young, because you were like, I can always ask my mother this question at a later time. Now you can't. So we have to document these memories. Thankfully, Chief did a lot of that. And
Mhm.
Georgie has picked up the baton from his dad.
Right, my
So,
father, George Wallace Gaffney, and me, George Gaffney, George Donald Gaffney. So we should use names sometimes for people that are, you know, trying to learn about our family.
Mhm.
It's all familiar to us. Maybe we could start with Betty, a self-introduction. Can we have your full name for the record?
My full name is Betty Jean Davis Gilliam.
And who is in the room with you right now?
I'm in the room with William Wayne Gilliam, my middle son.
And Donna?
Donna Dozier Gordon. I'm here in White Plains, New York, daughter of Catherine Conwell Dozier, granddaughter of Catherine Davis Gaffney, and happy to be here.
I was going to say, very glad to have the two of you meet and with me and Wayne, my son.
Where are you right now?
We're in Lancaster, South Carolina.
Well, Betty, can I say that you look fabulous?
Well, thank you. I didn't put any makeup, my hair. I'm not gonna say anything. Thank you very much. If you think I look fabulous.
You do.
My father was Lee Davis, Shepherd Lee Davis. He was son of Sally and William Davis. I don't know which number he was, but your grandmother was Catherine.
My grandmother, yeah, our grandmother, me and Donna's grandmother was Catherine.
Uh-huh. And I grew up in Union. That was long after your grandmother had moved away, because they moved away during, in early, well, I would say maybe between 40s and 50s. They moved to New York.
And what
And
was she to you?
uh,
What was she to you, Catherine Davis?
she was my aunt. She was my dad's sister.
Illinois, oh, your aunts.
And Maddie and Kathleen and Charlotte and Annette. Those were the four girls. Then we had Uncle Joe, Uncle Willie, and Uncle James O. Well, and Lee, my father's name was Lee. So it was four boys and four girls.
And what were your memories of them growing up, your aunts and uncles?
Well, we all lived together. Well, I won't say we lived together, but we lived in the same area on Douglas Heights. And across the street from our house was Grandpa Blackwell's house. That was my grandmother's parents, Joe Blackwell. It was who lived across the street from us. When they moved to Union from Salem Crossroads, they bought a large swath of land. And once they got there, they divided and gave each person a parcel to build the house. And some of them chose not to build the house because they came to New York at the time instead of remaining in South Carolina. I think a Charlotte, a Net, maybe a Kathleen. And Maddie might have been the only one who stayed in Union at the time. And Uncle Joe, and Maddie and Uncle Joe were the two that stayed in South Carolina. And Uncle Willie, Uncle J.
No, Mom, I think Uncle Joe and Uncle Lee only two stayed in South Carolina. All the girls moved to New York.
I was thinking,
No, all of them, I believe all of them moved to New York. I think only Lee and Uncle Joe stayed in Union.
okay.
Everybody
Maddie
moved
was
in.
in New York when I was growing up, so she made it there at some point.
Maddie, yeah, I thought she was the first one didn't she, what
She probably was, yeah.
She was the oldest, but she wasn't the first one to move to New York, was she?
That I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so because I remember her being in Union, but and Kathleen, Annette, and Charlotte, they started going to New York and New Jersey before Aunt Maddie, because I think they were at Benedict College, and that's where they met some of the people who would come down here to the beach to brought their families. They start working at the beach, I think, or someplace, helping those people with their children when they came down here from New Jersey. It's my understanding that that's how they got back up to New Jersey.
Wow.
Okay. I guess
that was called the migration, right? A period in American history.
yes. That's where the better jobs and opportunities were in the North. So most people, once they graduated from high school or either became adults officially, they moved. I want to think it was during World War II, but they could move to the city and get jobs in factories and make more money. And some would work there and send some of the money back to South Carolina to families.
Yeah.
That was during World War II when they moved there because they moved north because then they could get work in factories that were making supplies or clothing for the World War II. That's the part that I remember someone telling me that that's how they migrated to New York. Plus
Our
the fact
grandmother might have gotten there even earlier because my mom was born in New Jersey.
well, see, that she probably did because I can remember they were saying. So I said, well, how did they manage to get to New Jersey? So then they would explain to me that people from up north used to come to Myrtle Beach to spend the summer, and his sisters, Aunt Maddie and whoever was at Benedict College, and they would get those students to come over to work for them during the summer. So that was the connection of how they were able to go north, because that was during World War II. And I think that's when you could go and work in, they had factories where they were making clothing or things for the war. And it was a good job. So that's how they to New York.
You know, you must have been 9 years old when the war ended. Were you feeling anxious about how it was going to work out, or did you remember feeling a certain way about it?
Well, only time I really had any fear or anxiety about the war was at certain times. They would let off a siren and practice what you should do if they let that siren off, they know you were gonna have a blackout. And you were to turn off all sources of light and stay inside because that was a, what do they call it?
An air raid.
Yeah, air raid. You were training in the event during World War II. They had an air raid. If that siren went off, you knew to hunker down inside. Nobody would go outside, and you would stay for a certain amount of time. And then they would turn the siren back on. Then and then you could come out. Now I remember that part, but that was in the 40s.
So
was a little-
what was it like growing up in Union as a little girl?
Goldie and sister stayed with my grandparents, mom, pop, Davis. So they were there for a while. Then when they moved away, to me it was everything actually revolved around the school or the church. So those were two things that you knew that would be activities for you to get involved with. And I guess I had nothing to compare it with, so it was relatively good. I thought we had a good life.
How involved were you in the church?
Will Davis was a deacon,
Baptist.
and my grandmother was at that time they had church ladies doing things. So the better part of our weekend was spent either going to church or doing things for the church.
This is
So,
Corinth. Corinth.
correct, yes,
Mhm.
And if you had nothing to compare it with, it was great. You know, that was the
But
thing.
now that you do you have a different perspective?
Well, you know what? I look at it now as basically a lot of things have not changed because it was very similar to what my children did. The activities growing up involved in what the church, what they were doing in church. You have Sunday school, Bible school, BTU, and all those activities.
Scouting.
Yeah, most of them
Mhm.
started revolved around what we did in church. That was the basic meeting when the children were in elementary school. And then when they moved up to high school, middle school, activities increased. And that was during the time that we had integration. So a lot of opportunities opened up where they had mixed activities for both Black and white kids. And then, of course, on through high school, it was the same way. That once the races were integrated, things were different.
Well, how did that go?
During World War II, you had to have stamps because gasoline was rationed, and you had to have stamps to get some. So we were, and at that time, not many Black women drove. I don't think you would probably remember my mother, but she looked like a white lady. She was very fair. And when she drove up to get the gas, the man came out and whispered to her, I can give you some extra gas without the stamp. And I said, Mom, because he thought she was white. So
y'all messed it up. You and Bill messed it up. When they jumped out the back seat, the man said, "Oh, never mind." Thought they were white.
How exciting was it to visit New York? Did you go to Times Square?
oh yes, and Maddie loved to take everybody around. Oh boy, but she would wear you out because she could just walk and never get tired. Oh, she'd be, showing you different places. And we went to the Empire State Building and just anything of any historical or anything that they wanted to show you. That was the time they show you. Somebody would come and take us this place, then another, Aunt Maddie or Uncle Ben would take us this place, then Aunt Charlotte and Uncle Richard. Ain't that all three of them lived in New York and New Jersey.
Did you have a favorite movie star growing up? Did you go to movies much?
Betty Davis, that was my name. So I could, other than that,
Isn't that funny?
uh,
Our own Betty Davis.
Well, how many siblings do you have?
it was just three of us. Bill Lee Jr. was my oldest. I don't know if you remember him because
He passed in 74.
That was the year I was born.
well, you don't remember him. And then Bill, I don't know if you remember Bill. Do
Bill
you?
passed in 2002.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know, Bill's at the first reunion. You know, do y'all remember being at the first reunion in Union?
I
Back
do
in-
very much, and I want to talk about that because I understand, Betty,
81.
that you helped organize it, or it was your idea, or one of them.
Oh yes. Oh
That was
yes.
in 1980.
Uh-huh.
81, wasn't it?
The one. Yeah, it was in Union. Yeah, that was 81. Maybe it
Was
was
it-
81.
It was 81, I think.
Mm.
You were about to tell, I think, what it was like growing up in Union and then going up to adulthood and your experiences.
Well, we had some pleasant experiences because we lived on Douglas Heights, and of course, Aunt Maddie had built the house between our house and Ma and Pa's house. So it was the three houses were on the right side of Douglas Heights. And after Aunt Maddie moved to New York and her family moved away, it just left my father, my mother, and the three of us were left in Union. Of course, we were left to take care of Ma and Pa. Well, anyway, they would stay in Union during the winter. Then, of course, when spring and summer come, they would have time when they would come to New York to visit everybody because Aunt Kathleen, Aunt Charlotte, Aunt Matt hadn't gone then. But Aunt Charlotte, I once said Aunt Charlotte, Aunt Ned, and Aunt Kathleen, all of those were in New York. And Aunt Maddie was still in Union at the time that I was growing up. And then, of course, later on, they moved, and it just left my father's family,
Just him,
our
Uncle
family.
Joe. Uncle Joe.
Yeah, and Uncle Joe. We were the only two Davises left in Union.
How did you like school?
Oh, I loved school. That was one of our big outlets. School. That's where you saw everybody. And school and church were two of the biggest activities in our life growing up.
Did you have a favorite subject?
Well, I liked math. I think math was my favorite subject.
Were you on any extracurriculars in high school, or what was the dating scene like? You know, what was it like growing up there in the 40s?
Back in the 40s, well, I can remember vaguely, but at that time, that's when World War II was in action, and a lot of the people from Union were leaving Union to go work at Camp Croft, which is an army camp about 20 or 30 miles from Union. And they had I don't know whether it was a van, a bus, or whatever, but they would all meet at a place and go work at Camp Croft That's when they made good money. They call it good money, working in Camp Cross. So, but I enjoyed growing up in Union because when you don't know what to expect, you think what you got is great.
And so in the 50s, it was what was the popular music back then? Did you listen to secular music?
Oh, of course. Whatever was, but see, by that time you had television and radios that would pick up all the music from coast to coast. And whatever was the popular music out then, we had access to it. So, you know, every everything that they heard other places, yeah, we also got it in South Carolina.
Like what? Like was it that was pre-Motown, right? So what was it, Elvis?
Who was your favorite?
John
Ella
Lennon.
Fitzgerald. The what is it, 3 tops and 5 tops? So
The four.
4 tops.
No, 4 times.
Did you grow up with like socials, mixers, or anything like that?
Well, after I got to be a teenager, every week, every Friday night, we'd have a social for, you know, you could go and dance and eat hot dogs and whatever. So that was something you had to look to on Friday nights, the socials and dancing and just having fun.
You're extrovert or introvert?
I was an extrovert. I was usually the belle of the ball.
Did you work? Did you have a job?
No, I didn't have a job at that time because, well, maybe later on.
Well, what did you do after high school? After graduation?
After graduating from high school, I went to college. I went to South Carolina State College.
South Carolina State?
Yes, South Carolina State. It was a college then, now it's the university in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And I had a degree in home economics. And then later on, I came on, then I got another master's degree in education. And I taught school for, I don't know how many, 40 years, I think. And now I'm retired.
What school did you teach?
Well, I first taught home economics. And then after I taught home economics, then I went into the middle school and I started teaching math. Because it was a lot of middle schools were being built at that time to bridge the gap between elementary and high school. We had several middle schools, and I taught 8th grade math in middle school for, I don't know how many years. And after teaching that, then I went back and got a master's degree in counseling, and I became the guidance counselor at a middle school. And that's where I retired.
Well, what was the first school that you taught at?
Oh gosh, I can't remember, but it was well, at that time we didn't have integration, so it was a predominantly Black high school. I taught home economics there for about 3 or 4 years. Then after that, we moved to Maryland.
No, came here.
Well, we came to
I remember
Lycus.
I remember when you were in Maryland.
Now, when Mom started teaching in Maryland, she taught at the white school. She got a job at the white high school in Princess Anne. And at the time, Mom was the first African American teacher they had in that county. in that county and in that part of the state, really, because
Mhm.
the guy hired you to work for somebody that was on maternity leave, and then they kept nanny. But she was the first African American teacher in that area.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Mhm. When we moved to Maryland, we had gone. They didn't have integration, but my father put us in a white school, and we probably had 4 or 5, maybe count me in third, maybe 4 students, black students in the whole school with us. Even though they didn't have integration, they let you go to school. So we started our integration early. We was in the 2nd grade. We started in
Yo,
school.
we're trailblazers.
Yes, indeed, man. And one of Dad's coaches, he had 2 kids. He had 3 kids in school, and then me and Thurston was 5 of us. And so they put all 4 of us. We were all, me, Third was about the same age, and this guy, his sister, about the same age. So they put us all in 2nd grade together. They said we're gonna keep them kind of centralized here. So Third and Patty were really outstanding students. Me and Joey, man, we was like class clowns, man. So they gave us a math test one day, and they said, okay, how you just had a little record. They'd be giving us math tests. So at the end of the day, they pointed me and Joey, said, y'all come with us. They took us way on the other side of school, man. First day, man, it was a fight in the room, man. I told them it's a whole lot different over here, man. I said, they're like, nah, y'all don't need to be over here, man. But it was definitely an experience for us living in Maryland during those early '60s with no integration, and we had more issues with integration than ever in our life. Was when we lived in Maryland those years.
Fighting because you were black in a white school?
Even though they had it was an integrated part of the University of Maryland, but they still had
Mhm.
a lot of animosity against mixed races. You didn't mix the races.
When did you start your own family, Betty?
What year you started South Carolina State?
54.
She started 54, and she went 2 years, and then she got out and got married. Had me in third, and then she went back to school and ended up finishing in 59. She sat out a year and got married and had 2 kids, so it's more than a year. You sat out. But anyway, she finished in 1959. She has a graduation picture of me in third holding on to her gown, at that age. But,
Wow.
she stopped and started back. And because my father was 4 years older than her. My father and Lee Jr. were classmates in Union. So Mom stopped school and went back and finished. And but by that time she had me, and then she had me in third at that time, and then she had Tracy the next year.
It was 1960.
So you got married in 1955. Yeah.
So
That
tell
was
me about that experience of courting and getting married.
Well, what happened was he was going in the Army. I
Who's
was
that?
in college.
Who's he? Who's he?
Yes.
Sonny Gilliam. You met my husband, didn't you?
Sure.
Yes.
This is for the record, you understand?
You got to say who people are. They recording, Mom.
Oh.
This is for history.
I have to tell what his name was.
Yeah.
Tell it all. Tell it all. This is what this is.
Okay, well, of course, in 1955, I married Roosevelt Gilliam, and he was a junior. So we got married. I was still in school, and he was in the military. And then after I might have been a sophomore in college. Then he was in the military, and so we got married in 1955. And of course, then he was stationed in Texas, so that when school was out, after I got married, I went out that summer and spent the summer while I was out of college with him. And then, of course, the next year he spent his time and he came back. And we spent all our time, well, all the children were born in Union.
How did you meet?
Stayed in Union, and then we moved to Lancaster in 1960. And we stayed up here until what, 64?
And then we moved to Maryland.
and then we
before,
moved to Maryland.
How did you meet?
Oh, we grew up together. He was from Union, and we grew up, he lived in the same town.
Same
But
church?
their mom did the mess to work together.
Yeah.
Same church?
No.
Not really, because we lived in Union. Union, small town. Everybody knows everybody else, and only had one high school, one middle school, and one elementary school. So because of the families, we sort of, I guess everybody knew everybody, so you just knew. That's how we met.
Meant to be, in a way.
That's right.
And so you guys married in 55, and then you picked up college again,
Yes.
and eventually getting a master's in, did you say education?
Yes. A master's degree in education. And I worked, I think I taught, I've many years, I can't even remember how many, 40 years. I taught school for 40 years and then retired.
How was that, your experience as a mother?
Oh, I enjoyed every minute of it. I had 3 children, and they were very close together. And people said, "Oh my goodness, you having all those little children?" But I found that it was good because they grew up together, they played together, and they shared a lot of things together. And I was able to work and find somebody, well, before they started school, to come in and take care of them. So I wouldn't change anything about that.
So how is it, so it's okay to raise 3? I've got 2 boys, and we're considering a third, so I don't know.
The more the merrier. You may not know now, but I tell you one thing. I can say with all my, I wouldn't take $1 million for my children at my age, because I look around at my friends when I was struggling. I had 3 little, because my kids were relatively close together. Oh, they were buying new cars, they were taking trips, they were doing all those things. And I was stuck like Chuck with babies. But now that I have, well, of course, they grew up. They were, it was no, one thing about being in your hometown, you can always find somebody to go keep the kids for you if you had something to do. And then, of course, they grew up, and now they all are doctors. So life has been good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me, what inspired the first Blackwell Davis family reunion in 1981 or 2, Donna?
I think it was 1981.
What happened was, we were the only, well, I would say Davis, out of the Davis family, my father was the only one who didn't go to New York and New Jersey. Or my father and his brother, Uncle Joe and my father. And I can't think of, I'm trying to think of if something catastrophic happened that we said we needed to get the family together. Because at that time, only my father and his brother were the only 2 in South Carolina, and all the other were in New York or New Jersey. And during the summer, my grandparents, Ma and Pa, would go to New York and spend the summer with the ones in New York. Then they'd come back and they'd spend the winter in South Carolina. So that was just the history. As far as I can remember, because during the ones who moved to New York moved during the 40s. And
I don't know who I can't remember who could do exactly organize it, but I think everybody kind of worked together because you and Sarah and Lil and you know, I think everybody kind of worked together with that first reunion.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
well, at some time we all realized that our parents and grandparents were getting older, and we needed to have some time that we could all get together. And the idea of a family reunion came up, and the first one was such a great hit until, we saw cousins that we didn't know we had. They didn't know about us because, see, my father and Uncle Joe were the only two that stayed behind in Lancaster, in Union, and everybody else moved to New York.
Do you have any memories from back in 1981 from that? I do, because I was 6 years old. I remember there was a table of gifts or something where somebody handed me a magic trick. I can't remember what family member, and I was like, oh wow, it was very it was very fun. And do you have any memories of that organization, or how that or any memories from the early days of the family reunion?
I remember quite well because I was one of the instigators to get it started. And then, of course, who was that always?
Sarah.
Sarah, yeah.
Sarah Gray.
Sarah Gray would.
I think Sarah Gray probably had more influence on family reunion than anybody because she really did a lot of organization.
And see, she could. We could get the notice out, and we could give it to New York, New Jersey people, and let them know what was going
California.
on.
I think Chief and Sarah Gray probably did more communicating with everybody and keeping everything going. But I know Sarah Gray did a lot of organization. Matter of fact, she kind of carried it on her own for a little while there.
Do either of you have any questions or statements or something like that before as we're wrapping it up?
We went to the family reunion in Williamsburg. That was 2008, and that was the 1 week after we came from the family reunion, we adopted Ashley. Ashley was born right after we came from Williamsburg, and that was 2008. Yeah. Yeah, and then we went. No, when was one in Baltimore? That was before that. No, that was after. Can't remember. No, it was before that. It was before that. Was 2006, I think.
Oh yeah.
2007, yeah. Well, we've always had good. We've lost a lot of people in the family over the years, a lot. But not only the family reunion, but we always have an opportunity, to keep each other. Everybody seems to be a historian in our family, so we always keep our family names and our family people alive and stuff. So that's I think that's the best thing, that even though without a family reunion, we still know our family and we keep all their memories and stuff alive because everybody was pretty much unique. We had everybody in our family. Your dad was very unique. That. So, we never. Me and my brother talk about Valerie's wedding all the time, man. That was just a unique experience there too. That was a unique experience, but everybody's missed. But
Yes.
we keep them in our mind, and when what were you and sister in Orlando for the Delta convention?
Yeah.
Mom
yes.
and sister convention when Ashley was born.
Uh-huh.
And I told Mom they had their plane tickets to go. And for some reason, Tracy got bumped off. She didn't get to go. And she stayed here. So Nanny said, I'm going to stay here. I said, no, Nanny, you go ahead on. You have plenty of time to do your thing. And then you left out. And the day we brought Ashton home, man, Tracy bust through the door dead. And it's like, we can see his baby, but I remember you and sister, I think that was the same year Sarah passed, wasn't it? Sarah,
So
Dent.
they didn't.
Mhm.
I
Could
can't
be.
remember.
Yeah,
Because we had gone to New York for what you call it, party, remember? And we got back.
The baby was,
oh, the
Althea.
evening of elegance.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Althea. What was Althea's? What year? How was she that year? That was in 2008. Remember, I took you and Papa to her birthday party in New
Mhm.
Jersey. That was and we went to see Sarah in the hospital, and not long after that, that was I can't remember what birthday party it was. It was, I want to say her 60th, was it?
I can't remember.
No, it was more than her 60th birthday party. It
Yeah,
was,
she was older than that.
yeah, it might have been her 80th birthday party. It might have been.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I can remember the times, but I can't remember the dates.
Mhm.
But you know,
Well-
we need, I guess, my generation is probably Golden Sister, me, Sarah Gray, Jean, you know,
Sonny.
yeah, Sonny. I'm gonna try, I hope they can come this year,
Mhm.
and we can have at least a part, if not everybody, as many people as can get together.
Wonderful. Well, listen, we got 10 seconds left or so. So I want to thank you for giving us this time.
Mhm.
And I'm going to cut this together and we'll, put it out for people to look at. And I really love seeing you. Thank you for setting this up, Wayne, too, and Donna.